So here's a fun project, more of a graphic design type lesson, working with font and photographs. So I had the students pick a location anywhere that they wanted, having them research a little bit so that they had more substance to work with. So if they were making a postcard for a particular spot, so that they can have the photograph that coincides with the name of the city or state, wherever. And we're working within the shape of the font. So nothing too simple. We're not just cutting off the top of the L there. It's working with the shape. So looking through their photographs to see what's going to work best. This is a common one where having something really branch off the side of it, but staying within the outline of the letter itself. So some photographs are going to lend itself much better for this assignment. So it's kind of fun just going through and looking at the photographs, the types of images for particular places. And they can certainly be in your town that you live in. Maybe it's the post office in town or a local shopping mall, something that is recognizable from that area. So starting with a new document, and I like to have students give them more of a something square to work with so they can decide later if they want it vertical or horizontal. So when you open up your file new, you'll see all of the other canvases that you had started with before. So if it's a common one that you've used, like here's my 12 by 12, because I had already made that, 8.5 by 11, whatever. Just make sure you have the 300 pixels per inch. I've got white for my background, which again, we can change later. I'm going to start with the text tool, and the best font to use for this project I have found is Arial Black, and you can certainly venture out to whatever, and I'll talk about different fonts and downloading those from the internet. But Arial Black is great. I'm just going to use black as my text. It doesn't matter. Size isn't going to matter because once we type this in, so I'm going to do Nantucket, and I'm going to type this in. I'm just going to leave this one here down at the bottom. I can stretch that to however I need it later, but then this is the big one. So I'm going to make just the capital N for the city, town of the island of Nantucket. Okay, so I want to resize this. So I'm going to do edit free transform. Okay, but notice again those shortcuts. So Command T, you're going to use free transform a lot, same as copy. So Command C, edit paste is Command V, but you can't see me doing the shortcuts, so I like to show you where I got them from. So free transform, I'm going to stretch this, make it fit my document. And again, I can nudge it later. Okay, so my photograph that I'm going to use is in my Finder, the Nantucket Lighthouse. I'm going to drag that in. I'm gonna resize it. And I don't know how much I need to resize it by. So I like to take the photograph that is covering it and change the opacity a bit so that I can see through and make some adjustments if I need to. And I want it sticking out the side, so I've got something to manipulate there. I can always make it bigger too. All right, let's just go with that. Okay, and I can't really adjust that too much later, so I want to get that a good start. So here's my the lighthouse that is covering the letters that I have underneath. Okay, I'm going to turn the eyeball off on that so I can just focus right now on this N. So when I first put this in here, it was a text layer. Okay, so this is editable. I can go in and change the letter, change the font, whatever I want to do to that. But for this assignment, it can't be a text tool. So I need, or a text layer. I need to take this layer and convert it. So go up to layer, and it needs to be rasterized. So you could either go to smart objects and rasterize when you have a smart object, otherwise rasterize and type. So now it has become more of a shape. So I want to select this N by using my magic wand, okay? And everything that's enclosed is going to be selected. So I'm clicking in the N, and there's little marching ants around there. So that is selected right here. I'm going to go back up to my lighthouse picture, and my N, it fits within the picture. Actually, I'm going to nudge that a little bit because some of it was sticking out. And then I'm going to hit this down here as the mask tool. Looks like a camera. And it's going to technically delete everything that is not selected. So it doesn't actually delete it. It just temporarily, well, it masks it. But so I'm clicking the layer mask, and you'll notice that it made this little square on the side. So I have black on the outside and white on the inside. So black and white is going to become your quote eraser, because you're going to take your paintbrush, and with either black or white, depending if you want to erase or bring it back. So this is my favorite tool to use instead of an eraser, because an eraser can be very permanent. So what I want to do is take my paintbrush, depending on the size of paintbrush and how hard of the edge you want, the size of it. So I'm going to start with a pretty decent size. I don't know what happened to my... Okay, so I'm taking the white and I'm going to essentially erase part of that. I know I want some of the side of the lighthouse to be exposed. I don't know what I want to do for this part. Kind of makes more sense to let it stick out. I'll have to see. So we can't just leave it like that. So I'm going to zoom in and move this around. Okay, and go back and get a smaller brush. Okay, so I'm going to decrease the size of that. I could decrease the hardness of it too if that's something that's not working for your the size of it. I'm going to switch this around. So instead of having the white, which I use to paint it back in, I'm going to go to the black, which is going to become my eraser. So then you can go right up to the edges and delete and erase what you want to have erased. So the other great tool, which is even better, the magnetic lasso. If you have a very steady hand, you could try the lasso tool, but the magnetic lasso is going to allow you to just move along the side of your object. Every now and then I like to click it and give it like an anchor. And I'm following around the shape of this, getting as much as I can just with the use of technology so I don't have to go in and get every tiny detail with that little brush. Okay, so bringing it all the way back around. So this, even though I'm hitting delete right now, wrong thing. What did I do? Okay, I don't know what I did just then. So actually, wait, I can reselect that. And since I'm painting with black or white, sometimes it works on delete. I don't know why it did that, but I essentially need to fill this with black. So I'm going to go up here and just edit, fill, and do black. So there's multiple ways to do the same exact thing. Things will get you there. I'm going to deselect this. So select, deselect, but I like to hit Command D because it's easier. And then I'll use this tool again and get rid of the blue sky. Oh. And there are shortcuts for all of this, but the Shift F5, you still end up having to click some buttons. So maybe for this one, I'm going to use the polygon lasso tool because it has a straight edge to it. And then this is just going to have to be an artistic decision what you want to do with that. Okay. Then edit fill again, or painting with the black paintbrush. So, that was bugging me. And I think that's right, but I would still go in and tidy that up a little bit more. But just so you get the gist of things. Now back to my title down at the bottom. I can just stretch this back out. And again, I'm going to edit free transform. And then I can stretch that just so that it's neatly tucked in there. Doesn't look centered. Then you can crop down. Again, if you would rather not even have it as a square, you can certainly crop it however. So it'll depend on the letter. I'm actually not liking this down here, but because it is a mask, you can always go back in and change it because you didn't have it as an eraser tool. So I'm going to go back here and just go straight down. And if I hold shift, it forces me to make a straight line. No, it doesn't matter. I'm going to edit, fill that one with the black. Yeah, I'm liking that one better. Okay, so there you go. We've got the name, the letter. It does nudge a little bit there, so we don't need that. So I'm just going to turn that off. We've got use of the mask, getting some image parts exposed outside of the letter. So it's kind of just a good activity, good for graphic design, talking about locations, what makes for a good quote postcard to reflect the area. So file, save as. If this is something that you're coming back to work on again, make sure that you save it as the PSD. Okay, this is the default. This will save all of your layers, but if you know you are done with it and you don't need to change anything, again, JPEG, PNG, those would be great. So there you go. That's that.